Hello students, welcome you all in the lecture of dynamics of machine. Today we are going to start our second topic, that is dynamic force analysis. Okay. So in the first topic, that is static force analysis, we have analyzed the 4-bar mechanism, we have analyzed the slider crank mechanism. In static force analysis, the mechanism is in static equilibrium. Okay, there is no acceleration. So in case of dynamic force analysis, we are having some accelerating masses. Okay, so the difference between static force analysis and dynamic force analysis is that in dynamic force analysis we have to consider the acceleration of masses. Okay, so dynamic force analysis, what is dynamic force analysis? Dynamic force analysis are associated with the accelerating masses. Okay, so we are having, in case of dynamic force analysis, we are having accelerating masses. We are having accelerating masses. Okay, as all the machines have some accelerating parts, dynamic forces are always present when machines operate. Okay, in situation where dynamic forces are dominant or comparable with the magnitude of external forces, dynamic analysis has to be carried out. Okay, so in simple terms we can say, if we are having the acceleration of masses, so the analysis comes under the dynamic force analysis. Okay, so the first principle we are going to consider is D'Alembert principle. Okay, so D'Alembert's principle. D'Alembert principle. What is D'Alembert principle? D'Alembert principle is used to convert dynamic force analysis into static force analysis. Okay, so this D'Alembert principle we are going to use to analyze the dynamic force system. Okay, dynamic force system, whenever we are having masses, masses having acceleration, then we can use the D'Alembert principle to convert static force and dynamic force analysis into static force analysis. Okay, so D'Alembert principle states that in simple terms we can say the D'Alembert principle states that inertia forces plus inertia forces and inertial couple with external force and external couple or external torque. External torque gives the equilibrium condition. Okay, gives the static equilibrium condition. In simple terms we can say that if we are having a body which is having some external forces, if the acceleration, if the inertial force of that body we are going to add with the external forces, will give the equilibrium condition. 0 means equilibrium condition. Okay, so in simple terms, inertial, this we can say that calculate the total forces plus the inertial force equal to 0, calculate the total torque plus inertial couple equal to 0. Okay, so by this method we can convert our dynamic equilibrium system into static equilibrium. How we have converted? First we have calculated total force acting on the body. Okay, then we have added some inertial component. Okay, inertial component, and the summation of inertial component plus external forces equal to 0. Let's say we are having, in simple terms we can say that if we are having a body like this, a spring mass system. Okay, we can say, let's say we are having one spring mass system, and this mass is having some kind of motion in upward and downward direction. Okay, so the inertial, if this is mass m, then inertial force Fi will be equal to m into a. Okay, and total force acting on this body is equal to by the spring k, which is by the spring will be equal to k into, let's say displacement is x. So this is the total force, this is the inertial force. If we are going to add these two components, k into x plus m into a will be equal to 0. So we can convert our dynamic system into static equilibrium system by adding the inertial component, like this one, m into a. M into a is the inertial component. Okay, so inertia is a property of matter by virtue of which a body resists any change in the velocity. So we can say inertial force Fi. Fi, for simple case we can write Fi is equal to minus m into Fg, where Fg is nothing but the acceleration, m is the mass of the body. Okay, m is the acceleration of center of mass of the body, and m is the mass of body. Like the same ways we can calculate Ci. Ci is nothing but the inertial torque, and inertial torque is equal to minus Ig into alpha. Inertial torque T is equal to I into alpha. So I is the moment of inertia of the body, and alpha is the angular acceleration of the body. Okay, angular acceleration of the body. So by the help of this one we can calculate the inertial component, calculate the total forces, add inertial component, and summation of inertial component and total force equal to 0. Okay, so this is the D'Alembert principle. Okay, why this negative sign is coming? Because negative sign is coming because the inertial force is always opposite to the movement of the body, always opposite to the movement of body. Let's say this body is moving in the downward direction, let's say it is coming downward direction. Now the spring is having compression, so it will oppose the compression. So spring force on the body will act in the upward direction, that is k into x. If the body is moving downward direction, then the inertial component will always it will act in the upward direction, because the body is moving in the downward direction. So this is coming to the upward direction. So from here we can also say that both forces are acting in the upward direction, kx plus ma into equal to 0. Why it is 0? Because we have converted dynamic equilibrium system into the static equilibrium system. Okay, one term is also we can discuss here in the dynamic equilibrium system, that is equivalent offset inertia force. That is equivalent offset inertia force. Okay, in simple terms, equivalent offset inertia force is that in plane motion involving acceleration, the inertia force acts on a body through its center of mass. Okay, if a body, if we are having a plane motion, then always the inertia force act through the center of mass of the body. If the body is acted upon by a force such that their resultant does not pass through the center of mass, a couple is also act on the body. Let's say we are having a body, okay, and this is the center of mass, and the force is acting here, that is Fi, inertia force is acting here. And so we can say that this inertia force will produce one force and a couple. Now we are going to use the principle which we have studied in engineering mechanics. That is, we at this point we are going to add one force in both the direction. Okay, one force at both the direction equal to Fi. So simply we have applied two forces opposite in direction, equal in magnitude at this point. So the resultant of these two forces will be equal to 0. Okay, now we can consider these two forces, which will produce a couple. Let's say the perpendicular distance is h. So we can say that this couple Ci. Ci will be equal to Fi into H. Ci will be equal to Fi into H. Finally, we can say that our system is converted into this force is remaining. So this force will act here Fi, and one couple which is also acting, that is Ci. Okay, that is Ci. So the magnitude of Ci is equal to Fi into H. Fi into H. Okay, so what is Ci? Ci is the couple produced due to inertia force. Fi is the inertia force. Okay, simply we have applied a principle of engineering mechanics. We have applied two forces equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, in the same line of action, which means the resultant of these two forces equal to 0. We have taken this force and this force, they are going to produce a couple, and one Fi is remaining. So we can say that H is the perpendicular distance. Okay, H is the perpendicular distance. So H will be equal to Ci divided by Fi. Ci we can write minus Ig. Ci we can write minus Ig into alpha divided by minus m into Fg. Okay, I means moment of inertia. That moment of inertia we can also write as a minus mk square. Okay, into alpha divided by m into Fg. M cancel out, negative sign cancel out. We can say that k square into alpha divided by Fg. Okay, so simply if we are having the inertial force displaced by some distance, okay, so this inertial force can be converted into one inertial force acting at the center of mass and producing a couple. Okay, so this is for the D'Alembert principle. Okay, now the next topic which we have to discuss is the dynamic force analysis of slider crank mechanism. Okay, so this is the important part, the dynamic force analysis of the slider crank mechanism. Okay, so this topic is very important topic. What is the topic we are going to discuss? That is dynamic force analysis dynamic force analysis dynamic analysis of slider crank mechanism. Dynamic force analysis of slider crank mechanism. Okay, so in the slider crank mechanism, what thing we have to consider? Slider crank mechanism is an inversion of 4-bar mechanism. Okay, in slider crank mechanism, simply we are drawing the slider crank mechanism. That is, this is the direction of movement of the slider. Okay, we have considered one crank is having the rotational motion. Okay, crank is having the rotational motion. Try to understand carefully. Crank is having the rotational motion. We are having slider here. Okay, this is the connecting rod. Connecting rod crank, connecting rod, slider is having linear motion. Okay, so this point we have designated as O, A and B1. Okay, so simply we can say that the crank is revolving. With the help of that one, the slider is having the linear motion. Okay, so this point is the inner dead center. Here we are having the outer dead center. R is the length of the crank, L is the length of the connecting rod, and we are assuming that length of connecting rod is large as compared to the crank. Okay, so we are considering L is equal to N into R. Okay, L is equal to N into R. Okay, so this part we will use afterward. So first of all, what we have to calculate, what we have to analyze, that we have to analyze the velocity and acceleration of the piston. Okay, what we have to analyze, that is velocity and dynamic force analysis. Okay, so first we have to analyze the velocity and acceleration, velocity and acceleration of piston. That is piston. Okay, velocity and acceleration of the piston. So we can say that piston is the part which is having mass and having the linear motion. Okay, so from here we can say that whenever the piston is at this position, let's say the position we are designated from the IDC is theta. Whenever this theta angle is 0, okay, whenever this theta angle is 0, means crank is coming to IDC. Okay, IDC, so the piston will move its farthest point. Okay, the most away point it will move. Okay, it will move to its most farther point. Okay, that is, let's say, point B. Okay, whenever it is coming from IDC to point A, the piston will is coming from B to B1, and if it is theta is equal to 180 degree, so it will come its the next opposite to the farther point. Okay, so in that period of time when the crank is revolving angle theta, this B point is shifting to B dash. Okay, or B1. So let's say the distance traveled by the piston is x during time t, when this crank is rotating from IDC to location A by an angle of theta. Okay, so x is the displacement of the piston. Okay, and this angle we are considering as beta. So now we have to calculate the velocity. For velocity we are calculating the displacement first. So the displacement will be equal to x. How we are going to calculate the x? X will be equal to now draw a perpendicular from point A on this line, that is A1. Okay, A1. So this x will be equal to, when theta is equal to 0, consider that when theta is equal to 0, so the total distance OB will be equal to when theta is equal to 0, R plus L. When theta is equal to 0, so this connecting rod and crank will have the same line, will be in the same line. So we can say that this x will be equal to BO or OB minus B1O. We can say that from here to here minus here to here. So this is the distance x. Okay, so OB minus B1, this OB will be equal to distance from here to here. Distance will be equal to, when theta is equal to 0, this is R plus L. So we can say this is L plus R. Okay, minus, now this distance B1 to O. So we can say that component of this length here, by adding these two we can find this B1O. So we can say the component of R in the direction of theta will be equal to R cos theta plus L, this value L cos beta. So L cos beta means this one, R cos theta means this one. So this is the total distance. Total OB will be equal to L plus R. Now we are going to replace this L with n into r. We have considered that this L is very large as compared to length of connecting rod is very large as compared to the crank. So this we are writing x will be equal to nr plus r minus r cos theta plus L will be equal to nr cos beta, nr cos beta. Okay, so from here we are taking r common, we will have n plus 1 minus n, this one n cos beta plus cos theta. Okay, now what we are going to do, we will replace this beta in terms of theta. Okay, now we are going to replace this beta in terms of theta. How we are going to replace this beta in terms of theta? From here, now observe these two triangles OA dash, okay, and A1 B1, OA1 from triangle OA1 and triangle A1 B1. Okay, now this A1 line is common, so we can say that L sin beta will be equal to R sin theta. Okay, so we can say that L sin beta is equal to R sin theta. L sin beta is equal to R sin theta. Okay, so from here we can calculate the value of sin beta. Sin beta will be equal to R sin theta divided by L. L is equal to n into R, so we can write sin theta by n, Okay, from here we have to replace this cos theta, so we can calculate the value of cos beta. Cos beta will be equal to under root of 1 minus sin square beta, means sin square beta plus cos square beta equal to 1. The principle which we have used will be equal to under root of 1 minus sin square theta divided by n square. From here we can write 1 by n under root of n square minus sin square theta. This n we have taken outside the bracket. Okay, now replace this x. Now we are going to calculate the displacement. Displacement will be equal to r, this is common, n plus 1, okay, minus n cos beta is 1 by n under root of n square minus sin square theta plus cos theta. Okay, plus cos theta, this n cancel out. Here we are having the negative sign, will be equal to, finally we are rearranging, this is 1 minus cos theta plus n minus under root of n square minus sin square theta, n square minus sin square theta. So this is the, so this expression is the displacement of the piston. Expression is displacement of the piston. Piston is having mass and that is rotating. Now from here we can say that the maximum value of sin theta, can be 1. Okay, can be 1, and this n is very large as compared to 1, so this part we can convert into n square under root of n square. This n square will come out, n minus n means this one n minus n. Approximately we can say that this value is coming to be 0. So the approximate value of acceleration, we can say that x is equal to r 1 minus cos theta. Okay, this is not the exact value, this is approximate. Whenever we have considered this n square is very large as compared to 1, so this is the expression for simple harmonic motion. This is the expression for the simple harmonic motion. Okay, so the expression of displacement is coming simple harmonic motion. Generally simple harmonic motion we write x is equal to a sin omega t. Okay, omega t is nothing but the value of theta, means we can write that a sin, not theta we will write here, we can say that this is alpha. So this is A sine, means in terms of this one we can also represent the simple harmonic motion. So we can say that whenever the whenever the crank is revolving, the piston is having simple harmonic motion. X is equal to A sine omega t, in terms of A sine omega t when connecting rod is very large. Okay, the condition we have to put when the connecting rod is very large. Okay, so this is the displacement part. Now we will come, okay, first we have calculated the displacement. Now we will come on the acceleration, the velocity part. Okay, so velocity is what is velocity? Velocity is rate of change of the displacement. Velocity of piston is velocity of piston velocity of piston means rate of change of linear displacement. So rate of change of linear displacement means dx by dt is the velocity. This dx by dt we can write d theta into the d theta by dt. This we can write dx by d, this theta. Okay, so dx by d theta we will have expression for that, and d theta by dt is nothing but the rate of change of angular displacement. So this is angular velocity means omega. Okay, so this velocity expression we are writing d by d theta, put the value of x. Okay, not the approximate value, the exact value, r 1 minus cos theta plus n minus under root of n square minus sin square theta, n square minus sin square theta multiplied by this omega. Okay, now we have to differentiate this expression in terms of theta. So we know the how to differentiate this. R will come out. R is the common part here. R is the common part. So we have taken this R as a common. Then R we have taken common, R omega common, then d by d theta of this expression, d by d theta of this expression, d by d theta of 1 is 0. Differentiation of cos theta is equal to minus sin theta. So here we will have plus sin theta. Okay, then we will have n differentiation, this one equal to 0. Differentiation of n with respect to theta is 0. Now we have to differentiate this one. Differentiate, under root of x will be equal to 1 upon 2 under root of x. So this will minus sign will come here, then 1 upon 2 under root of n square minus sin. Simply we have to differentiate this one. Then differentiation of inside part, n square is again 0. Here we will have minus sin square theta, minus sin square differentiation is minus 2 sin theta, then differentiation of sin theta is cos theta. So here we will have minus 2 sin theta into cos theta, minus 2 sin theta into cos theta. Okay, so from here we can write v is equal to r omega. Okay, solving this part we can find that this is sin theta plus 2 sin theta cos theta means sin 2 theta. This minus sign will give positive, divided by 2 under root of n square minus sin square theta, n square minus sin square theta. So this is the expression, this is equation number we can say 3. Here we are having equation number 1, this is equation number 1 displacement, this is equation number 2. After assuming some part, if now the same we are assuming here, if n square is very large, if n square is very large, then again this value will come into n. So we will have v will be equal to r omega sin theta plus sin 2 theta by 2n if n square is very large. So this is equation number 4. And if we are going to neglect this point, if we are neglecting this value, if n is very large, so we can also neglect n is very large, so this value we can neglect, and finally we can get V is equal to R omega into sine theta. After taking, if this value is this value can be negligible, sine 2 theta by n can be negligible when n is very large. Okay, very large. So after assuming something, we have reached to this equation, equation number 5. Originally we are having this equation. Okay, so this is the acceleration of, this is the velocity and displacement of the piston. Okay, so this is it for today. Thank you.